I've been in your waters. I came for sure. It's one way or the other.
That is some good coffee. What's up, everybody? Peter McKinnon here, and welcome back to another tutorial. Today, we're jamming on street photography because it's amazing, and I got some tips and tricks for you along with Alan. We went shooting. It was a great time. We're gonna critique some photos, get you guys out there snapping dope pictures. But man, that was a delicious coffee. It's watches on this hand. It's 7:30 in the morning. I'm getting an early start. Like, I've been waking up early recently, and whoo, man, it makes a difference. The second thing that makes a difference, this might even be the third, who's counting? Sound panels. Sound panels installed. It should sound like a mint recording studio in here, minus the fact we have a broken window, so there's still it's like a recording studio with the window cracked. Maybe because it's a little hot. Super excited that problem, the reverb, the echo should be eviscerated. That is a good word, eviscerated. It's such a great, it's just everything I'm feeling, eviscerated. It's fun to say, it sounds dramatic. Okay, welcome back. Sorry that there was no 2 Minute Tuesday this week. I have a flight to Finland tonight. I'm speaking at the Future of Online Media Festival in Helsinki tomorrow. Very excited to go to Finland. Very sad that Maddie won't be there with me because he's Finnish from Finland. It would have been fun. So thanks, Maddie, thanks for bailing on. No, he didn't bail. We're gonna go into like 5 or 6 tips with regards to street photography and how to get great images all the time. But my biggest tip, the one thing I'm gonna lead with this is, it's the Wild West. Anything goes. Street photography is like every type of photography rolled up into one umbrella, okay? So I say the same analogy with weddings. Like, you got product photography, you got landscape photography, you got portrait photography, you have architecture, you have all of these things in the city. You're kind of like the photojournalist. That's what street photography is to me. There's no rhyme or reason. There aren't particularly any rules you need to follow. I have suggestions in how to get better shots, and shots like my friends and I do, if that's something that interests you. But the biggest thing I will try to convey is that it is the Wild West. Anything goes. You're not doing anything wrong, but take advantage of it. There are so many stories to be told within street photography with the people that are on the streets and the buildings and the atmosphere and the weather and all these things we're gonna talk about. But street photography in and of itself is just its own beast. I wanted to just preface by saying that it's a ton of fun. It's one of my favorite things to do, is just to grab a camera and a group of friends, head downtown or head into a new city and literally just walk around and photograph. So the other day, Alan, Brody, and myself headed downtown and we walked 17 kilometers. We got up at 4 a.m. and we hit the streets by 5 a.m. There was nobody out. We got the sunrise. It was absolutely incredible. You guys saw the B-roll. I hope you enjoyed that. We worked very hard on it. But let's dive into some tips with regards to street photography so you can start shooting bangers like these. All right, so the first tip I want to talk about is fashion. So actually having someone that is a little fashion forward or has somewhat of a fashion sense that you're shooting with, be it that it's a friend or a model or a friend who's a model or just your photographer buddy who happens to be styling, which a lot of my friends are, having them bring different outfits, different looks, different attire, that really helps when you're shooting, because you might not want to take 15 portraits of Alan in and amongst the city because they all kind of start looking the same. But with fashion and different outfits, you can shoot pants, you can shoot the outfit itself, you can shoot kind of that subject without actually showing their face. And if you bring those different outfits, you can roll that over a couple hours and get a whole bunch of different looks during different times of the day, in different pockets of a city, street, wherever you are shooting. That would be something that's very easy to do. It seems like that really, Pete, that's one of your points, but yeah, 100% that's one of my points because it helps a lot. We did that the other day, but we did it with shoes. It helped significantly. So finding someone who's fashion forward, maybe that's you, maybe that's one of your buddies, maybe that's someone that you know, a friend's friend, whatever. Finding someone like that really makes for better photos in and amongst a street urban environment. Yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, tip number 2 sort of falls into the video I did several months back called architecture photography. Now, when it comes to street photography, architecture, the buildings, those essentially are our mountains. Those are the mountainscapes of the landscape photos, right? We're gonna use these buildings as backdrops. We're gonna look up to see these buildings, to have them draped in the background. And we've talked about sometimes in urban environments not forgetting to look up, because sometimes the architecture looking up is as impressive as it is looking forward, because people design these buildings with purpose. So taking portraits and shooting up to use those buildings as the background can really yield dramatic, cinematic looking photos kind of like these. And it makes for a really good backdrop, especially if you're in a street or urban environment. Another nice thing about using the buildings is sometimes when you get into a city, the buildings are so high, they create their own little like shadow environments. And by that, I mean, it could be the brightest, most sunny day outside and you might think to yourself, it's just, sun's too high, I can't really shoot right now, it's like high noon. But if the buildings are high enough and you do enough walking and exploring, those buildings cast their own shadows and make really nice soft light pockets in and amongst the city. So you can find really interesting areas that have great light peeking through, or maybe some rays are coming through. There's a sliver shining from the other building. You can really find unique stuff by just walking in and amongst the buildings that are blocking out the sun. That took me like 10 minutes to say. All right, point number 3, timing. I've said this time and time again, shooting at the right time of day. We got up at 4 a.m. I was in the city by 5. We had a good clean 2 hours of shooting uninterrupted with incredible light. There was nobody on the streets. We could do things that we wouldn't have normally been able to do during the day, like sit down in the middle of the street, perfectly center the CN Tower between my legs. Didn't have to worry about traffic or getting up to move for cars or a whole bunch of people crossing the street, blocking the frame in and out, and you just don't have to worry about that. You're up before the city has even started its day. Having that nice morning light, people setting up their storefront shops, you got people getting into their cabs, you got the people walking to work. There are so many different things that happen in the morning that pass you by if you just forego that. And the same thing goes for sunset. Point number 4 is using props. Now in this case, we're using sneakers. I got to address, there's been so many comments of people saying recently, Pete, your sneaker game is just fire right now. Pete's sneaker game is lit. Pete has really stepped up his sneaker game. What is happening with Pete's sneaker rotation? So I teamed up with StockX for this video so I could get some shoes to make this, because shoes have a very urban, modern, city, street photography, gritty kind of feel to them. They just look good in these environments. Had I shot these same types of photos in a beautiful landscape with a serene, calm lake and canoes and Air Jordans, it's just like it wouldn't have looked as good. It wouldn't have looked as fitting. But shoes in an urban setting, street setting, are perfect. The colors pop with the monochromatic tones of the city streets and curbs and buildings, and you've got some bright red Air Jordans. Or you contrast that with white Air Jordans, but you match those up with a really clean blue looking glass to get that little hit of reflection and the sun coming in just right. Sneakers and the sneaker culture fit perfectly with street photography. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to do for this video and how I wanted to shoot it, I called up my friend Holiday and was like, hey man, how do I get some sneakers? Like, I want to get those Air Jordans. Can I just go to the shop and buy them? And he was like, no, that's not how the sneaker game works. Like, those are kind of hard to get, but like, I got a friend that works at StockX, so they got on board and they sent me a massive amount of sneakers. All of these sneakers they sent me, which is incredible. They sent me all of these sneakers so I could take some photos, make a video. So thank you to StockX for hooking that up. You guys are amazing. I'll leave their links below if you want to check them out. I think we're going to give away some sneakers on my Instagram account as well. So if you don't follow me, check that link, head over there, and maybe you can win a pair yourself. But they just fit perfect for this exact type of photography. Another thing Alan mentioned was he likes shooting sneakers because sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, he's tired of shooting portraits of the same person or his friends, so at least he can pan down and shoot different sneakers. So you can just bring a whole bunch of different pairs with you, like I did. I think I went with like 4 pairs that day, and we had 4 different looks to shoot over 4 different spots. Got great footage, got great photos, and that's what we want to come away with, good results. The last thing you want to do is come back from a photo shoot where you've taken a lot of time to shoot great images and you come home with nothing. Now that's not just to say you can only shoot shoes in a city. There's lots of other props you can get. Lens balls are popular, other things. If you're gonna do product photography within a city, if you're gonna shoot your coffee mug, if you're gonna shoot something for another company, for a brand, city environments really add life, buzz, electricity to your photos, and that's what we want. We don't want that nice cup of coffee or those nice headphones with a perfectly white background. That's easy, that's fine, that's good for a retail. But if we want a really urban lifestyle shot of those headphones floating in the air with yellow cabs behind them and people crossing the street in the financial district, that's gonna tell such a better story than just some headphones on your desk. All right, now point number 5 is the mood. Now, yes, we captured sunrise, and that's a very like feel-good kind of thing to capture. The nice warm sun coming in on a summer day, it just makes for feel-good photos. But just because the weather might be bad doesn't mean you can't go out and shoot. Because different weather and different weather environments are gonna create very different moods. If you've got a storm coming, those are totally different photos than when the storm is actually here. But just because it's bad weather doesn't mean you can't go and shoot those, because sometimes those yield the best photos. And a fun fact is, just before a storm, just before that storm hits, is when you will get the most incredible photos of a sky, period. Whoo! Look out. You will get incredible cloud patterns. The colors will change. It'll get dark from light. That's when you want to capture the sky. And then when that storm's happening, that's a totally different look. And then when the storm's over, again, a totally different look. And the different types of life that comes out during a storm, i.e., maybe people are running with umbrellas now. Maybe people are trying to get into cabs. They're holding newspapers over their heads. Maybe they're trying to cover their carts from some street vending activity that was happening. And those are all things you can capture. People walking over the curb and splashing into puddles, looking for reflections. When everything's wet, everything looks way more cinematic. So just because it's gonna be bad weather, or maybe it's gonna rain that day, it doesn't mean you can't shoot, and those are totally different moods. So I say all of these things to you guys. This is my experience shooting street photography. It's not the definitive. It's not the be all end all. This is not the final word. These are just my suggestions, my takeaways, shooting with friends like Alan, who are very experienced street and urban photographers. And for those of you that follow Alan, you'll know he's extremely talented at capturing different tones and moods. And side note, if you don't follow Alan Palander on Instagram, you're missing out big time. He's a phenomenal Toronto photographer. I'll leave his links below. You guys should get on board. He's a member of the Dope Squad, and we support our own. But a perfect example of being able to capture so much life and tell such great stories from a single frame. That's what we are. We're storytellers. Be that you want to accept that or not. Now, there could be some folks who just say, Pete, you're just diving way too deep. Like, I just want to go take photos. Like, I don't care about telling a story, and that's totally fine too. But don't you want the best possible images that you can possibly capture? The feeling of getting home and seeing something that you created from nothing, to be proud of that piece of work. There's no better feeling. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. The best advice I can say is grab some friends, grab your cameras, go down to a city, go into a street environment, no holds barred, the Wild West. Keep some of these things in mind and shoot all day. Get up early, go to bed late, see what you can yield. Tag me in those street photos because it's one of my favorite types of photography. So hit that like button if you like this video, smash it if that's something that you're into, subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you guys when I get back from Finland. Okay, bye.